Alexander County Board of Commissioners into session. This is the 12th day of April 2021. At this time, I, Chairman Larry Yoder, will have the invocation. The Pledge of Allegiance will be followed by Commissioner Marty Pennell. If you would, please rise. Our kind and most gracious Father, we appreciate the opportunity that you've given us to be able to gather. We appreciate what you've done for us in our lives and the things that you have taken care of. We'd ask that you bring your blessings upon those folks in Knoxville, Tennessee. Be with the law enforcement officer that was wounded, the students that were wounded. Be with the parents. Be with those folks that these kids will all be safe, and the law enforcement officer will be safe from the wounds that they may have received today. We'd ask you to be with the law enforcement officers in this county and in the state and across our country. Be with our military personnel, keep them safe, and look after them both at home and abroad. We'd ask you to look after each and every one that is gathered here tonight. Lead, guide, and direct them, and help us that we'd make the decisions that you would have us to make. Be with each person and guide them to be safely getting home. For we ask these things in thy name. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Folks, you may be a little uncomfortable tonight. I understand the air conditioner's out. They're doing all they can do to try to get it fixed. It may happen, may not happen. And I'm sure that each and every one of us can bear with that tonight and get through that. So with that said, is there any commissioner that has any reports?
Mr. Chairman, I have one. I just want to give a shout out to the Bethlehem Volunteer Fire Department. As I run the roads, I've seen members of the fire department from, the juniors all the way to the, the chief. They've been out weed eating around all the fire hydrants on the sides of the road and making sure that those are very easily identified, which I think is a wonderful thing to see, especially considering they're all volunteers.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'd like to mention I attended a VetCom meeting this past month. If you're a veteran out there and you've not attended one, you would be welcomed. Also, they have reached an agreement to try to pull the older veterans and the younger veterans together. And I think that's a really cool idea to bring them two different generations together. And I just want to give a shout out to the veterans of the community.
Mr. Chairman, one more thing. I had the opportunity to speak to Boy Scout Troop 275 in Bethlehem. One of their commanders or leaders contacted me. They're working on their civilian badges or their civilian patches, and one of the things that they were supposed to do was interview someone like a county commissioner, and I was really impressed by the boys and the questions they asked. They told me 15 minutes, and after about an hour and 20 minutes, the pack leader kind of said, "Okay, guys," and honestly, I had no idea I'd been there that long. But they're a very active Boy Scout troop, and honestly I was honored to be asked to do that and enjoyed it very much.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Gentlemen, you have your agenda before you tonight. I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as is.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as given.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Item number 1 on the agenda is public comment. I understand that we have one person that has signed up to speak during public comment. At this time, I'd call on our clerk to the board, Jamie Starnes, to read that message.
Thank you, Chairman and Board of Commissioners. This has been submitted from Lana Davidson. She states, "I am asking the county commissioners to consider installing signs at bridges crossing over rivers and creeks in the county. The sign is to simply state the name of the river. I propose that the sign be approximately the size and style of the signs over the highway number signs that we see today, such as 16 North, 90 East. Black and white should be the color, and the actual size should contain only the name of the river, such as Upper Little River. The lettering should easily be read from a moving vehicle. Most of the walls at bridges should be, would be current guardrails, wood rails, and at last resort, concrete. Installation should be so as not to endanger the stability of the current walls on each bridge. Short pieces of metal guardrail are already at the ends of the walls on concrete or wood bridges. Some sidewalls are also of metal guardrail. I do not recommend putting the river names on a pole or a post separate from this bridge wall or rail. We are blessed with numerous rivers and streams that newcomers would love to know the names of. Paper maps do not name all rivers, and GPS systems have many errors in street names. Giving verbal directions to get to someone's house, church, or business would be made easier if the bridges had a name. I suggest we start with the major rivers and over a period of time work our way down to the smaller ones scattered throughout the county. Community residents may even help by donating money to put the sign in their area. If the bridge in those areas is all guardrail, one sign on the wall in the middle of the bridge is all that would be needed. That would not be very expensive. Please give my suggestions your serious attention and consult with state and county highway departments for any recommendations from them. Thank you for your attention and service to the county and its people."
Thank you. Item number 2 on the agenda is a public hearing, conditional use permit 21-4 recreational vehicle park. I'd call on Mr. Seth Harris. Excuse me, sir.
Chairman Yoder, that has been withdrawn by the property owners.
Has been withdrawn.
Yes, sir.
Very good. So is there anyone here tonight that was here for the public hearing on the recreational vehicle park? Okay, folks, that has been withdrawn by the property owners, okay? They have withdrawn that at this time. Now, if that should come back up again, I can assure you that you will be notified, okay? You will be notified, okay? Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank y'all. Item number 3, public hearing resolution requesting partisan filing for the Alexander County Board of Education. At this time, I'd call on Vice Chairman Ronnie Reese.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'd just like to kind of speak out before I get into reading this. This was something that was brought to us from the
Vice Chairman
Republican.
Reese, excuse me just one moment, sir. I failed to do something. Gentlemen, this is a public hearing.
Well, we need to open it.
Absolutely. Excuse me. I apologize. I apologize for interrupting you. At this time, gentlemen, I'd entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Make a motion, we open the public hearing on the request of partisan filing for the Alexander County Board of Education.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries. Vice Chairman Reese, please continue, sir.
Okay. As I was stating, just a little bit of kind of background on it. This was brought to the commissioners by the Republican Executive Committee. I was invited to attend a meeting they had along with the rest of the commissioners. I did attend only just to bring back the information that they gave to us. They were concerned with no identification for those running for the school board, which, I've heard going back and forth, different things. The people that I have talked to seem to think that's a good thing to identify, which we just heard Miss Lana Davis, she wants names put on rivers. Everything has a name, cars has a name, it identifies. But that's what we're here to talk about tonight. And I know there was some communication about the bill. The bill was written because there was a deadline for writing the bill. The bill is kind of like an airplane. It's sitting on hold until we have our meeting tonight. It can either go forward or it will go back and go away. And that's what this is for tonight, is a public hearing, so everyone can speak to, what their concern is. Nothing has happened that cannot be changed if needed to be. Like I say, it depends on the vote tonight, from us as commissioners. We don't have the authority to change it, but it goes to the GA or to the General Assembly in Raleigh is where it would actually be processed like, any other bill. So, and there's been talk of unaffiliated. I spoke with Patrick Wyke a couple times at the Board of Elections. Anyone can go, even if you're Democrat or Republican, you can register as unaffiliated. When you do that, you get a petition to be placed on the ballot. It's 4% of the votes, and I think it's, the largest district is, Mr. Love can probably help me, 7,200. And that's District 1.
I also talked to Mr. White for my own purposes, and he informed me the largest Board of Education district was District 1, and I had this written down, and one reason I was late is I couldn't find it in my truck. But if I remember, there are approximately 7,814, don't quote me, registered voters in Board of Education District 1, which makes up Bethlehem and Wittenberg.
Yeah. That would be, around 380, 400 votes that you, or signatures, you get on a petition, and your name is on the ballot. It's something that, Alexander County is not the only county looking at this, and I'll go ahead and read the resolution, Mr. Chairman, and then anyone that wants to speak, to that, will be fine. The resolution states, requesting partisan filing for the Alexander County Board of Education. Whereas members of the Alexander County Board of Education are currently elected on a nonpartisan basis as defined in NC General Statute 115C-37. And whereas the majority of elected offices throughout our counties and nation, state and nation, are elected on a partisan basis. And whereas we believe that public education is an issue in which political parties differ greatly in a variety of policy areas, and that voters are better served when they can choose a candidate who shares their basic core values and party identification. And whereas we believe candidates could become affiliated with specific political parties because those parties represents the candidate's essential views toward government and public education. And whereas nearly half of all Board of Education races in November 2020 general election in North Carolina were held as partisan contests. And whereas we support transitioning to partisan Board of Education elections because it will increase voter awareness about the candidate and provide more information to the positions and policies that the candidate supports. And whereas the Alexander County Republican Party Executive Committee has met to discuss the issue and also supports this transition, now therefore be it resolved that the Alexander County Board of Commissioners hereby formally request the North Carolina General Assembly for a local act changing the election method for the Alexander County Board of Education from nonpartisan to partisan for further elections. And this act, if passed, the resolution, shall not affect the terms of office of any County Board of Education member elected in 2018, 2020, and will allow candidates of all future elections, although partisan in nature, to continue the practice of representation by school districts. And I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. So we're here tonight to discuss this and to hear what the public has to say about it. And we will allow you to speak. There's no problem with that whatsoever. No pointing of fingers, no calling anyone out. I will not listen to it, and if you do that, I will ask you to leave very nicely. We're not here to point fingers at people. We're here to make a decision about what, in the opinion, will be the best for all people. Also, be advised, you will have 3 minutes to say what you would like to say. And with that being said, our clerk, Mrs. Starnes, will keep the time, and she will do a little at me to let me know when it's time to let you know. And I'll just do like this, that you got just a few more seconds to clear it up, okay? And that's all I ask. And we've had several people that have signed up that wanted to speak, and I will let these people speak because they took the time out to call in and do that, and I will do it that way. The first one, I think, is going to be Matt Cooksey.
Thank you for listening to me. When I first heard about this proposal, I'll be quite honest, I was very angry over it. The fact that we were going to take a local election and turn it into partisan just rubbed me the wrong way. I was left with a lot of questions. I didn't understand how you can have a public hearing in the middle of a pandemic. I didn't understand why this was being talked about being local when it was being done statewide from many different areas are doing it. All this confused me. And the main thing that came down is the last few years, I've gotten sick of partisan politics. I sit at home every day, and the Democrats and the Republicans, neither one get anything done in D.C. When we're talking about bridges, we're talking about infrastructure currently today, they still can't come to an agreement, even though it should be an easy issue because party politics starts dominating. I joined the school board 3 years ago. Interestingly, I still don't know the parties of the people I serve with. I can guess maybe, but I'm not sure I'm accurate. It doesn't come up in school issues. We have certain things that seems to be important to us. Number one is the students. Number two is the teachers. Number three is the parents and families. Number four is the community. We look at these things, we try to make the best judgments we can, and each issue sort of drives that way. But I never see party politics come into play. It's just not there. I sat there when I did this and went and did some research. And interestingly, George Washington had something to say on party politics. Got to put the glasses on though. Political parties are likely to become potent engines by which cunning and ambitious and unprincipled men will be enabled to subvert the power of the people and to usurp for themselves the reins of government. His entire farewell address, interestingly, he's the only person that ever ran as a non-party person, but he really was fearful of what parties would do to our country, and it seems to be currently happening in our country today for the last 8 years, 10 years. So I ask you all tonight to look around and realize Alexander County is a wonderful community. Every one of us, including you sitting here, are Alexander County residents. It doesn't matter which party we're from. All of us are also accessible. That's the other part I don't quite get. It's pretty easy to come and talk to me at any point in time. You can find me every Saturday on the job site. You can come sit and have lunch with me and talk about issues. So putting a little letter after my name doesn't make me more accessible, but being part of the community is what makes me a good school board member. I just hope you use your judgment as an Alexander County resident when you consider this.
David Odom.
Thank you, Chairman Yoder and respected board members. I would like to start tonight with a quote from North Carolina Representative David Willis. He's a Republican from Union. He joined Lieutenant Governor Robertson at a news conference recently, and he said he attended public schools in North Carolina from preschool through the community college and university system. I don't recall a point in time where I knew any of my teachers or professors' political views or political affiliations. It wasn't relevant to what we were there for. We were there to learn, to read, and to write. I think we've strayed from that over the past couple of years. I get the Carolina Journal. I'm an unaffiliated voter who has voted in the last 3 Republican primaries. I have served with many of you on the Board of Education. The Alexander County Board of Commissioners spend nearly 30% of their budget on keeping people safe. The majority of those folks are comprised by volunteer firefighters and first responders. So commissioners, whether they be Democrat or Republican, have always strived to keep people safe in this county. The second largest expenditure is public education, nearly 20% of the entire budget by function in 2020. So providing a basic, sound education to all students, that's what commissioners do. County commissioners have paid the debt service on every school in this county since its inception. We're a small Tier 1 county, meaning that we are an impoverished county, a poor county. 19 years ago, almost 20 years ago, I sat where Commissioner Reese is sitting right now. We were a Tier 1 county then. We are a Tier 1 county now. Our problems go well above partisan politics. It's how do we pay our bills? How do we keep our citizens safe? How do we educate our children? We spend more on education than we do in human services, DSS, health department, etc. It's simple for someone to file for an office, but it states it's a bias. If the resolution, in my opinion, why not have soil and water be partisan? You know, why just pick the school board? I've served with many folks, and every issue that we ever faced as a school board never had anything to do with politics. It always had to do with how much money can the commissioners help us with this year. We've lost over $7 million in funding. 3 minutes or 3
3
seconds?
minutes is about up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm opposed to partisan elections for the school board and for soil and water, because we're just a poor county trying to pay our bills. Thank you.
Diane Little.
He talks a lot faster when he was in my classroom. Gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. When I heard about this, I just came up with some questions that I would really like for you to consider before you make your final decision. And one of them is, where do you see a need for this change? Normally, change is implemented to improve things. I'm not sure that there's anything broken here. Maybe you know more than I do. Will changing the elections from nonpartisan to partisan have a positive effect on how efficiently that board operates? The research is going to tell you no. There's more political rancor on these boards, these partisan elected boards, than there is on a typical board. Finally, how will this change positively affect our students, our teachers, our administrators, and our community? I'm a veteran educator with almost 50 years in public education, and I can tell you that's the most important question that this board needs to focus on. That is where a need for change needs to come from. That should be your focus. Regarding the need for change, the 2 reasons I've heard about are people want to know the party affiliation so they'll know who to vote for and more about that person. That takes away the purpose of nonpartisan board elections. The board is supposed to be nonpartisan for that very reason, so that state politics Even national politics won't be inserted into those decisions. And I've heard, well, Caldwell County's doing it. Frankly, guys, I don't care what Caldwell County's doing. I'm happy here, and I would much rather know that Alexander County is doing the best things for the people and the students. If Caldwell has great ideas on improving education, fine. Have you surveyed the people? I know you've had some input. Did you survey them before this meeting? Did you survey them before the bill was filed on Friday? I know that Mr. Pennell did on Facebook, and overwhelmingly the responses were, no, we don't want to change. Why? Because they don't want state politics to play a role in local government. Is this move coming from the state party? We know it's in the state party's platform. Article 6, Elections, Section 8, quote, "We support partisan elections for all offices." And since the Republican Party took over the General Assembly, that group has flipped, and I don't know if you know this or not, over 1/4 of all of the boards of education in this state from nonpartisan to partisan elections. It's a statewide effort. It's a nationwide effort. It may not be in every state in the nation, but it's almost there. Are you basing your decisions on research? Well, I did. I did a lot of research this weekend. The Crawford study is out, and they examined 300 Board of Education members from North Carolina and from Georgia. And they divided those guys into two groups, a control group, which represents the nonpartisan board members, and a treatment group, which represents the partisan board members. They asked them questions about how well they supported Common Core, vouchers, and school prayer. The treatment group got a clue. The control group just had a straight-out question, do you support these three things? The treatment group, and this represents the partisan elected, am I done?
You will be in just a second. You need to wind it.
I'm almost done?
Wind it up. You got about 30 seconds.
I'm winding it up. They had this treatment in there to tell them the party's position. And the result was that when party cues were introduced, the partisan elected board voted strictly party lines almost. The last thing I want to say, since you're not going to let me talk anymore, Larry, and this is the one thing I do want you to hear from tonight. The only label you need, beside the name of anybody running for the Board of Education, is pro-education. That's the only label that needs to be on that ballot. Thank you so much.
Mr. Dale Clary.
My thoughts and approach have changed a little bit sitting here tonight. If I offend anyone, I'm sorry, it's not intentional. But right or wrong, I believe in speaking what's on my heart. And man, I'm telling you, I grew up in the country, and the saying is, if it smells like a fish, it might be a fish. Take it ever how you want to. Why? How's it gonna make our county better? How's it gonna benefit the kids? It won't. It'll tear this county apart. The last thing we need. We're fighting about enough stuff in our world now without the school board being part of it. And how dare you disenfranchise me and 8,000 other people? How dare you? Yeah, I can go fill out the petition at the elections office. I've been there this week. I have given to the kids of this county probably 35 years. Counting school board, other volunteer stuff, I'm still doing it. So why should I have to jump through extra hoops if I want to serve again? It's wrong. It's politics, pure and simple. I'm by far not the smartest guy in the room, but it smells like a fish, it's a fish. We've heard the answers to some of my questions I was going to lay out earlier on how it processed, got started. My other question would be, why the rush? I'm not accusing anybody of being dishonest, so don't take that wrong. But how could a situation been handled worse? And it apparently was handled worse because there was a big rush to make a deadline in Raleigh on the 8th, the way I understood it. Well, guys, I can't help but think bad things when that's filed on the 8th and I'm here pleading my case on Monday the 12th. Just the way I look at the world, black and white. I would like to know why the rush is. Give you one quick example. It doesn't kill anybody to tell Raleigh no. When I was chairman of the school board, I got a call from Senator Moore's office. He said, "Sir, do you realize you're breaking the state law?" I said, "How?" He said, "You still have term limits in Alexander County." We'd already done our homework. My reply to him was, go back and do his homework. The legislature had not passed a law. There was no law. They had made a recommendation. That was the end of the story. We can tell them no. We're Alexander County. We need to look after each other, not earn political points. And when you make a decision involving our election process, man, other than our faith, nothing gets much more important. But then it's our kids. Whatever you vote tonight, think about the kids and what's fair and why this is such a rush. It's wrong.
Number 5 speaker, Bridget Ryan, on behalf of Harry Strum, and I mean, I'm going to tell him why you're speaking for Harry, if you don't mind. Harry was involved in an accident last week. He fell through the floor of a house and he injured his shoulder, and he is not able to make it because, unlike me, I got the leg, he got the shoulder. So what can I say? But, you know, I just wanted everybody to know why you were doing that, okay?
Okay, and I was going to say that, but thank you very much. And
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, Chairman Yoder, Mr. French, and members of the board. Thank you for having us tonight to be able to speak on this. I am speaking for Harry. He would be here tonight, but he can't. We wanted to let you know that we contacted the Board of Elections and asked for a list of candidates from the 2018 and the 2020 school board races. We wanted to check our facts before we brought this information to you. In 2018, 4 seats were open, and according to the information we received, all 4 seats were unopposed. In 2020, there was also 4 seats open, and 1 seat was to fill an unexpired term, is the reason for the 8 seats of election versus the 7 that we currently have. That seat was unopposed. Of the other 3 seats in the 2020 election, 2 seats had opposition, but 1 individual moved out of the county prior to Election Day. So to sum that up, we've had 8 races for school board over the last 2 elections. 7 were unopposed. And out of those 7 unopposed seats, 2 were filled by unaffiliated candidates. I'd also like to tell you that our Board of Education members are concerned that generally when a board moves from nonpartisan to partisan, and a seat on the board becomes vacant due to the death or resignation of a sitting board member, the process for filling the vacancy changes. The local board no longer decides who will fill the vacant seat. The party of the person who vacated the seat decides who will fill the vacant seat. Also, when the board moves from nonpartisan to partisan, a primary election may be necessary to determine which candidates are allowed to run for which party. Usually, independents have to have a certain number of names on a petition in order to run, and that's been discussed. Lastly, I want to reiterate my points. The school board does not have enough people standing in line to run for these elected positions. By making this a partisan election, we are eliminating people that have an interest in our schools and that are willing to serve our community. A post on Marty Pennell's Facebook poll captured it well. Quote, the post was by Robin Moretz, says, nonpartisan. The only reasons to make the races political is to discourage or prevent independent, non-affiliated candidates from running and or to create an easier path for a dominant party to win. In Alexander County, our motto is children first, not party first. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person to speak will be Helen Chestnut.
Commissioners, Mr. Yoder, I stand because I'm very concerned that our community has made an effort to come together. I believe that part of the oath that you all have taken, that we as citizens have committed to support, is to bring about unity in our community. And my first thought in reading this was this will definitely create more division. As was spoken a few minutes ago, not only the parties, and I did take the opportunity to speak to the gentleman at the Board of Election this morning, and he was telling me registered voters, Democrats are 4,800, representatives of the Republicans are 11,670, and the unaffiliated are 7,828. And of course, we have some libertarians and other party affiliations. But even with that, with 24,472 registered voters in this community, and I'm with other folks, why do we need to separate to say nonpartisan versus partisan? I read the General Assembly House bill, and I made an effort to call a relative that works in the legislature, and he explained to me this is a local partisan petition here. And I read down through it, and the last section 4D said this is only apply in the following counties in the underlined Alexander. And my thoughts were, is this the beginning of a party division to create more discrimination in our state? Or is this a way of creating more division to the point of a lack of respect for people? I'm very concerned that this could be the beginning of voter suppression for our county and our state. Small things like this end up to being big things. And my prayer is that we, as a small community, one of the smaller counties in North Carolina, that we make an effort to stand together for some things that are fair to all people versus the idea of fair things to one party. I have not spoken to Mr. Elmore yet, but I plan to. And as a concerned citizen, I ask you all to please reconsider that we should be working together to be united, not divided. And I am with Children First, not parties. I have worked hard with Republicans and Democrats in this community for a long time. And in being that way, I've tried to be fair to them and respectful to them, and I would hope and pray that they are the same way to me. Thank you.
Thank you. But Jack Sams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Board. Back during the election of 2020, the Republican headquarters was open for 4 months. And during that time, we had a number of folks come through seeking information on candidates. And one of the biggest questions that were asked, and I happen to be in the headquarters most every day, was who's running for school board? And I told them I can't tell you. They said, why not? I said, because it's an unaffiliated race. It's not a partisan race. It's unaffiliated. Well, I had people get very irritated because I could not share with them who was running for school board. And so after the election, I held an executive meeting. I felt I had the obligation to share with the executive board. I invited Ronnie Reese and I invited Larry Yoder to come. Chairman Yoder had a dentist appointment that day. And so of the 11 members of the executive board, we had a vote, and we had 2 votes. One was, should the school board race be partisan or nonpartisan? We had a vote of 10-1, 10 for, partisan, 1 against. Then we had another vote on should it be at large, like the county commissioner's race, or should it be at the district? We had a vote of 8-3 that it stayed district, because they felt like if we kept it at large, then one part of the county would control the school board from elections, and they didn't think that was fair. So that was the information that Vice Chairman Reese brought back to y'all, and so that's where we're at today. Y'all did not initiate this. It was something that I called the executive board because of all the numerous requests that I had during the election cycle. In fact, I received comments from people saying that I was a very ineffective chairman, not knowing who was running for school board. And like I try to tell them, you know, you can go do your homework by going to the Board of Elections, just like I would. So that's why I called this special session, and that's where we're at today. Thank you.
That's all the names that I had that were, I knew that was going to speak. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Yes, ma'am, if you'll come forward and state your name, please.
My name is Jane Moten, and I'm a retired educator. And just listening today, I would like to say that just because a few people said they wanted to know party affiliation, that's no reason to change the school board from nonpartisan to partisan. And it seems like something that was read in the, just because other people are doing it, I don't think that's a reason to take something that has worked for this county and change it to something unknown. We probably could meet all of those regulations, but it seems to me that it is a solution looking for a problem. And I hope that you all will have the courage to stand up and say, we're going to keep what we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Commissioners, I'm Scott Hines, Register of Deeds for the county, and I'll try to be brief. I remember in college taking a class, political science class, being instructed by a Naval Reserve officer, and he was a Democrat, and he said, it's good if you don't know what you're voting for to vote for your party. So if you don't know anything, you see the slate in front of you, and there's an R by the name, a D by the name. If there's nothing by the name, how do you know what you're voting for? So I've heard all the passion out here today, and there's quite a bit of passion. And I kind of feel that it would be a good thing to show partisanship because we've become very political. I went to school in the 80s, and I think since then we've become much more partisan. And I think it is a good thing to have more information than less information. And I think for the voters that are choosing the school board, that it's a good thing to have at least a little bit of more information to go on when you make that check on the ballot box. So that's my, I stand by the resolution, and I hope you vote to send that to Raleigh.
Chairman Yoder and Commissioners, Kent Herman, Alexander County, lived here my whole life. I'm 63 years old, and I think Mr. Odom's exactly right. Soil and water, I think everything ought to have a initial beside of it in this county because there's no other county that I've ever been into in North Carolina that's been more political than Alexander County. I don't care what you do. If you go to church or wherever you go, it's political in this county, and everybody here knows it. But I've had people this past year that come up to me and asked me, said, well, what about this person here? I said, you know, there's so many people moving into this community now, I don't even know them. I could used to tell you 90% of the people in this county how they're affiliated, but today I can't because of the people that's moving in here, and people want to know. So I think it's a good thing. I think we ought to move forward, and like I said, if you want to make everything in this county have an initial beside of it, I'm not against it. I'll support it 100%. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Mr. Chairman and committee, it's not broke, why fix it?
Excuse me, if
When
you don't
some-
mind, Sterling, if you would, just say your name, please.
Sterling Howard.
Thank you, sir.
When you run for public office, it's your duty to put out information, who you are, and what you represent. If I'm running for office, whether I'm independent or whatever, I'm gonna let folk know, if you vote for me, what you're getting. Changing, when someone comes to me wanting help, I don't ask them what party they are. I don't ask them if they're black or white or Hispanic. It's my duty to help someone in need. So whether you got Democrat, Republican, or Independent, if you run for office, it's your duty to make sure that folk out there know something about you. Putting something up there, putting something beside of your name, still yet guarantee what you are and what you got to do. So our country is getting divided because of politics. I love Alexander County. We're a small county, but when someone's in need, we don't think about party, black or white. We're thinking about helping our neighbor. So is it going to help our neighbor to make it partisan? Or is it going to cause a division, something that we don't need in our county? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Kathy Riddle, and I thought what Mr. Howard just said was very appropriate, because it wasn't that long ago that I had a personal crisis, and it was about a week or so ago that I saw Mr. Yoder. And I rolled down the window, and I talked to him about how warm and caring the people of Alexander County are when something happens, and he agreed. And I sit here tonight and I look at all these people and I listen to all this stuff and I'm thinking, we can solve this problem. And I remember when Bud Kaywood and I worked on the Citizens for the Future of Alexander County. Do you remember when we had the candidates' nights? Why can't we have those again? That's our solution. This room was packed. It was overflowing. Well, we have a great auditorium in the high school. I will be willing to organize a candidates' night. We've held it before. Some of you have participated in it. We can do it for the school board, and the people will have to come out to it and listen to it and make their decision then. Thank you.
Thank you. As this is a public hearing, does anyone else have anything to say at this time? Commissioners, anybody have anything to say? This time then, I would I'd accept a motion to close the public hearing.
Before we close the public hearing, sir, I do have something to say. And I consider myself to be pretty versed in some things, not very in others. But I've worked as a commissioner for 5 years, worked for a long time with the Alexander County School Board. I think it'd be pretty established fact that I'm a fairly conservative person. I don't agree with everything that happens in the school system, nor does, a lot of people. I think a lot of the frustrations that some people have stem far beyond local reach regarding the school system with issues that get pushed down from the state and federal government anyhow. So I don't know that we solve those issues that perhaps a lot of people have heartburn with by having a partisan or a nonpartisan election. I think we solve it by having good people run for the board. So, you know, if the script were flipped and we were 70% Democratic county versus Republican county, you know, what would this discussion look like? And then also, if we want to fill those seats, maybe we need to get the people that we want to have involved in the political process running for those races whenever the time comes up. So I think the solution to the answer is several-fold. I don't know that the partisan election piece is necessarily the end-all to the whole question. I think getting the right people in the race is the answer to the question. And, you know, we do that with or without the partisan thing. And if it goes like it is now and you get the right people in the race, then by sheer numbers, you know, that person of a particular party has a rather large advantage in the numbers anyhow. So I think if people wanted to do it to gain seats, it really doesn't work that way. To gain influence, it really doesn't work that way. The way it works is to get the right person in the race to run for the seat, to be able to do things, which is strictly bound by a lot of federal and state bureaucracy to begin with. So not a very good place to be. There are aspects of things that both sides have said that make logical sense. At the end of the day, you know, we say yay or nay, but what drives a decision? I go back to what Sterling said there too. You know, are you going to help people? Is what you're going to do going to help somebody, or is it going to hurt somebody? And you know, I can't answer that. I can say there's 70-some hundred unaffiliated voters that are then, if they choose to run for school board, they have to, you know, do what me and everyone else that's elected in this county have done, is that you have to align with a party. So part of that freedom of, hey, I'm a rebel or I'm an independent, and I want to listen to my own drum and beat my own horse. Then you force that person into a box one way or another. So, you know, I don't know that I like that either. So there are things that I like. As Jack said, you know, he'd like to have the information for people. I think that's very valuable. And Kathy said too, you know, we can have a forum and that information can be gotten out. So when it's all said and done, I don't know that leaving it is good. I don't know that changing it is good. And I know that there will be some happy people tonight and there will be some people that are not happy. But I really don't know that we get a clear resolution one way or another, because it's kind of an ornery place to be. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Chairman Yoder, I do have a comment to make, and this is just a plug for the school board members. I've served on that board. Just to kind of reiterate the turnout for candidate filing for a school board member position is terrible. When I decided I was not going to rerun for school board, I actually made the public aware for a solid year, my last year in office, hoping that people would step up to the plate, file, run against each other, best person, whoever the county sees fit, wins the position. That did not occur, and it never occurs, it doesn't seem like, except for one time, as Ms. Ryan stated, in the last couple elections, I think it was. That's kind of disheartening, because as a school board member, you do take a lot of heat depending on what events occur for that term you're in. You know, you definitely get the complaints way before you get a praise. And there's a tremendous more complaints than praises that come to them, or even commissioners. But what I want to say to the community is, not only is it complaining or expressing your opinions, because we all have our opinions and we're all warranted to express those opinions at any time. Step up to the plate. Make those school board races a race. I'm sure that, and I don't know this because I've not asked a current school board member, but some of them have been on there quite a while. I guarantee you that if there was someone else that was showing a worthy cause, children first, stepping up to the plate in that district, they might would kind of appreciate to hand them reins over to someone, I don't know. But it would be really nice to see a county our size of 30-some thousand folks. If you have a concern, make the filing and run for the position. You could only help your community. That's all I have, Chairman Yoder.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I guess first and foremost, those of you that aren't aware, I was on Board of Education from 2004 to 2012. Enjoyed it. It was very frustrating at times. It's very similar to county commission. It's not something that you do to make people like you. You know, I have tried to do my own research, and I've done a lot of, internal thinking. I've, spent a lot of time talking to my wife about this since this came up. We have 6 children. One graduated from Alexander Early College last year. I have a junior at Alexander Central. I have a 5th grader, a 4th grader, and I have a 4-year-old that's in NC Pre-K. I have a 2-year-old that will be at Bethlehem Elementary in a few years. Needless to say, I'm vested. My mom's a retired teacher. My dad was on the Board of Education, I think, a total of 26 years. My dad was on the North Carolina State School Board. And my dad also won the Raleigh Dingman Award for Best School Board Member in the state of North Carolina one year. Needless to say, I've given this some thought. There are very few decisions that, whether you're on Board of Education or County Commission, that you make that are going to make everybody happy. But let me rephrase that. There are absolutely no decisions that you can make that will make everybody happy. In my time of, I guess you say public service, which I don't know that I can, but in my time in elected positions, I've come up with my own little theory. The county commission could vote to give everybody in Alexander County a $100 bill. There would be people complain about theirs wasn't crisp enough. There would be people complain that it wasn't $200. And basically what I'm trying to get to is these are not simple decisions for us to try to make. I've talked, I've I've been inundated by phone calls today pertaining to this issue. And I have listened to every person and taken what they've said to heart. And like I say, just to sum it up, whichever way this goes, I understand that there are going to be people upset either way, and that's that's part of this. That's part of what we signed. That's part of what we signed up to do. And same thing with school board members. That's part. They have to make tough decisions that aren't always, or very rarely, what everybody wants to happen.
Dick, Ronnie?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'll say a word or two. It'll be kind of short, but yeah, just as Commissioner Lell said, I started on the school board, was elected there in 2002, stayed on until 2010, and it was just as Mr. Lell said. Sometimes real good things would happen. Sometimes there'd be decisions you make that you're not that good. Same way as on the board I'm on now, the Board of Commissioners. And when you go to file, just as our Register of Deeds, was up here, he has to put an identification mark beside of, when he runs for that office. We all had to put an identification mark beside of our name when we ran for that office that we're sitting in right now. Most everybody likes to know, and I'm kind of like a couple of the people and Mr. Sterling when he spoke. I want to help everybody, and that's what we should be doing. To help people, sometimes more information is needed. Sometimes it may be that, maybe less information is needed. But it does help if you kind of know where someone, where they stand and where they are thinking at. And yes, some people do put out things when they're running for office, and then others may never, put anything out. And just as Mrs. Riddle spoke, the forum, I think every time I've ran, I've been in one of those, and it's a very good thing. It gets information. People can come and see, what you think, what your processes are. And, it does help to know, but, people have to be involved, just as Mr. Lell was saying, and as Mrs. Ryan was speaking for Mr. Shrum. We need people to be involved, is what we need. And, there's decisions we make that some people are really thrilled, and other times people, are not so thrilled. I've had a lot of calls too, just as I think everyone on the board, and I try to take and go through those, and keep an open mind with them. But, this is something that, has come to us, and, I think it's something that, we will address, and then, we'll move forward with however it goes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
One more thing I would mention. In my conversations with Patrick White at the Board of Elections, and this is not, I'm not saying this from one side or the other, but one thing that he told me that I was not aware of, he did, because I asked him, what is the process for if someone is unaffiliated and they want to run for office? And he explained, he explained that process, that there's to be a petition. He said that pertaining to Board of Education, it would require 4%, like Mr. Reese said. 4% of the registered voters in the district. You need, 4% of those folks to sign saying that they want you to be on the ballot. One thing the thing that I was not aware of is he said a registered Republican, a registered Democrat, a registered Libertarian, a registered Green Party, Constitutional Party, whatever you may be, can run in any election as an unaffiliated candidate. If you are a Republican and don't want to run as a Republican, you can run as an unaffiliated candidate. If you're a Democrat and you don't want to run as a Democrat, you can run as an unaffiliated candidate. I didn't know that, and that's why, why I wanted to share that. I mean, everybody here may have known that, but I didn't. And he also explained basically that petition, is done prior to the primary election date. And as long as the needed number of signatures is produced, then you are, qualified and put on the ballot for the November election. And like I say, I just wanted to share that for clarification purposes, for, just informational. We had a nice conversation. I did ask, and for my own purposes, I asked how many registered voters there were, how many Democrats, how many Republicans, how many, I didn't, honestly, I wasn't aware of some of the smaller parties that we have. I think there were, 4 people registered as, as one, and 115 registered as, some of the other, I guess you say, less prominent parties. But when the first person that contacted me about this issue, said, please don't, this isn't the word that they used, but, please don't excommunicate the unaffiliated voters in Alexander County from running for office. And like I say, that's why I wanted to check for myself, okay, what do you have to do? Obviously, if you are a member of a party, you have a primary, and if there's more than one person running from your party, and so if you're in a party, you basically have 2 elections you've got to win. So regardless of the outcome, I think if nothing else, we've all been educated to some degree on the electoral process in Alexander County, as well as, the state and otherwise.
Okay. All right. Well, at this time, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion, we close.
Motion's been made. Is there a second? Second. Motion's made and second. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. The motion carries that they close the public hearing. Okay? All right. At this time, gentlemen, as to the resolution on partisan filing for Alexander County Board of Education, I entertain a motion to approve at this time.
I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve the resolution as read.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion's made and second. Any discussion at this time? Okay. All those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. All those opposed likewise. Gentlemen, I'm going to explain my vote, okay? I talked to about 4 or 5 county commissioners that used to be county commissioners in this county today. And in talking to those, all of them were from the Republican Party. Not a one of them told me that they thought this was a good idea. And I was really surprised that wanting it to be a partisan would bring up that much discussion in this county. I really was surprised. And as much as I believe in the right to run and to be, the only comments that I heard from some people that I put a lot of faith and trust in, that have worked in this county as your leaders and have served in this county as your leaders, they all said, Larry Yoder, don't do it. You need to understand, we've had nonpartisan elections in this county for a long, long time on the school board, and it hasn't bothered anything. We've had some good school board members that came through. We've had some bad members that came through. And I know that sitting here tonight that my vote was not a popular vote. But I'm going to tell you now, I really feel like that the nonpartisan way from the people that I spoke with, and I'm not talking about the people that called me either, okay? I'm talking about people that served you and represented you and you put a lot of faith in, that served this county for years. And I believe in them. And I think that's where we're at, and I just feel that way. And I just wanted to let you know where I came from so everybody will understand. That's it. Thank you. Item number 4 on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if you can explain your vote, can I explain mine, please?
You may, yes, sir.
Thank you. Of the phone calls I got from my whomevers that called me, several of which have also served Alexander County and the people of Alexander County. And the message that got to me was overwhelmingly in favor. And I also, as a very vested member of the community with children in the school system, the last thing that I would want to do is create division in our community. People that know me well know that. But I do and still feel like in our society today, there are very different views from one person to the next when it comes to finances, when it comes to social issues, and my opinion, by aligning with a political party, whomever it may be, allows people to know a little more about what you believe, what you stand for, and how you think. And personally, I just feel like the more information on any subject, whether it's a political candidate, which school board members, I mean, it may be nonpartisan, but it is still a political election. I feel like that additional information would be beneficial to the average voter. And so that's why I raised my hand.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like
Yes.
a chance just to explain too. Just as I stated before already, I keep moving forward. I'm willing to work with anyone. I don't care, which side of the party you're on. But just as Josh mentioned, I think it is good. I like information, and I try to get all the information I can on something. As I see a lot of people here tonight has got their information and got things together. I just like to know, if someone kind of where they might be leaning, which way they might be going to. And I had one person that called me, and just as Mr. Lell spoke, everybody really that I talked to, were in favor of it. One guy said, well, if I'm going to buy a car, if all the name brands are covered up on it, and I spend $30,000 or $40,000 buying that car, I get home later on and I find out instead of getting a Chevrolet or a Ford, I got a Daihatsu. It's just, there's things that we need to know about, and I think it's good to know. And just as when I served on the school board, you do the best you can. You make the best decision you can with the information you have. And that's the same thing that I've tried to do as a commissioner. And I try to keep an open mind and don't hold on to things. And I don't think anyone up here, does that. We try to communicate with people and be available to people to get an idea of what the people are thinking. And that's what we're going to continue to do, and we'll continue to move forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Item number 4 on the agenda is the litter sweep, North Carolina. This time I call on Mr. Josh Mitchell, Public Works and Facilities Director.
Good evening, Commissioners. A lot of people out there be glad to know that the NCDOT is currently holding their litter sweep. It started April the 10th and continues through April the 24th. The DOT has hired contractors to pick up litter on the primary roads. And in speaking with the DOT this morning, all their crews are committed the next 2 weeks to picking up litter on secondary roads. That being said, there's a lot of litter out there, and if there's people out there that would like to volunteer, you can call the DOT and they will provide you with bags, gloves, and vests. When you volunteer to pick up a road with the DOT, you actually leave the orange bags on the side of the road that you've picked up, and the DOT will send a truck through later to pick up those bags and take them to the landfill. If someone would like supplies for a litter pickup, you can contact the local Alexander County DOT at 828-632-2164. You can also find information on their website, which is www.ncdot.gov/litter sweep. And Gary Herman has done a good job about getting this on the county website and social media. So I would encourage anybody, if you want to help out, to contact the DOT to get what you need to help pretty the place up a little bit. And also remind folks that when you are taking your trash off, to make sure it's bagged properly or covered with the tarp, because a lot of the problem that we see with the litter comes from people taking their trash off and not having it secured as they should. Any questions?
Good. Really gotten really bad. It's gotten bad.
Yeah, and it's not just in Alexander County.
No.
I want people to know that. I mean, it's all over the state. The litter's not
It's everywhere you go.
looking very good.
Well, while you're standing there, Josh, let's go to item number 5, Alexander County Household Hazardous Waste and Document Destruction Day.
This is an event that we hold every other year. It is at the administration building. It's next to the senior center, across Lyle down from the football field. This is an event for Alexander County citizens only. It is running from 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock on Saturday, May the 1st. and this event provides county residents an opportunity to correctly dispose of environmentally harmful materials found around the home, and also shred those personal documents that could have your information on it that you don't want to get out there. Items that we accept are household cleaners, such as drain openers, toilet bowl cleaners, oven cleaners, and disinfectants. Paint products such as latex and oil-based paint, solvents, thinners, shellacs, varnishes, wood preservatives and sealers. Pesticides, which include herbicides, insecticides, and fungicides in the forms of aerosol, liquid, and granular. Miscellaneous items such as acids, bases, kerosene, household batteries, photographic chemicals, fluorescent bulbs, electronics, aerosol cans, pool chemicals, propane gas cylinders, and metallic mercury. Like I mentioned, we'll also have a truck on site for document destruction. You hand them the box or whatever the container is, you watch them dump it into the hopper, and it's destroyed right in front of you. We do set a limit of 5 boxes per vehicle just to keep the line going. And that's just your average paper box, which is around 18 by 12 by 10. This is a free service for the citizens of Alexander County. No businesses except for farmers. Farmers are welcome to dispose of pesticides, including herbicides, insecticides, and fungicides. And the sponsors are Alexander County Government, Alexander County Cooperative Extension, and the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. And once again, that is Saturday, May the 1st, from 8 to 12 in the County Administration Building parking lot. Any questions?
Good event. Takes care of a lot of stuff.
I'm thinking it's going to be very busy this year with
We had
all
everybody staying at home.
everybody's been at home cleaning up, so I look to be really busy on the 1st.
Absolutely. Very good.
Josh, appreciate what you and all your folks do.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 6, Alexander County Road updates. Mr. Gary Herman, PIR. PIO.
Gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I gave you an update for our roads update before the meeting, so you have the most up-to-date information. So this is from the NCDOT, Cole Gurley. He's a Division 12 engineer. So basically, you see all these roads. This is from the flooding of November 12, 2020. With the exception of Old Wilkesboro Road and the Cheatham Ford Road Bridge, all the repairs should be complete by late May or sooner. So that's kind of a brief summary, but we'll go through the list really quickly. 958 Sulphur Springs Road, it is now open as of March 8th. Sloan Road, it opened as of March 16th. Hopewell Church Road at Mill Creek, it is now open on stone, and they're going to pave that in the next week or two. We mentioned Old Wilkesboro Road at J.C. Park Loop. We've had utility conflicts, and the DOT decided to go ahead and just try to work around them. It was going to be really tight, but they determined that it was going to be able to be done. So now they're advertising for bids, and they're going to open bids on April 27th, award the contract in mid-May, completion by late July. Back to the bridge and the debris have been removed. Right-of-way plans have been approved, right-of-way being acquired. Utility owners are in the process of relocating utility lines, and now they're awaiting final designs and approvals to begin foundation construction, and completion, believe it or not, is anticipated by the end of this year. 7858 Cheatham Ford Road, the contractor is excavating existing culvert, and they expect to complete that by mid-May. 2535 Rocky Springs Road, the head wall is poured, they're backfilling the new pipe, and that'll be complete by mid-May or even sooner. Macedonia Church Road, culvert sections have been delivered to the site. They began assembly of those pieces, and that will be complete by late May. Rocky Face Church Road, contractor was mobilized to the site, and they're now installing erosion control measures and bypass pumping operation. And again, this one should be complete by late May 591 Berea Church Quincy Road. They've got this one open on stone, and they will pave this when the northern part of Berea Church Quincy Road is complete. That being the 1949. So right now on that one, they're installing the head walls and backfilling, and that'll be complete by late April to mid-May. And then, like I said, they'll pave both parts of that road. 1069 Lackey Mountain Road and Judd Smith Road, those will be done by 2 crews of the same contractor. So after they finish up Berea Church Quincy Road, they'll do Lackey Mountain and Judd Smith.
Very good.
That's our roads update. Any questions?
I think we need to keep reminding the citizens on Cheatham Forward, it's definitely gonna be December or January before that bridge is open in 2022. It's gonna be a while, so they're gonna have to be patient, and as much as we hate it, there's not a lot they can do about it. It's just gonna take a while to do the construction.
Yeah, and Mr. Gurley, he mentioned, he said, just ask your citizens to have patience. He said, we've really never seen anything of this magnitude. He said, we have a lot of other things that we need to do in our division, but Alexander County is our focus right now. And
It's their focus.
I do want to compliment them. They've been very forthcoming. They've been working really hard for us.
Right, and I know when we have the TAC meeting each month, that's one of the things that's stressed is how Alexander County in Division 12, how that is a priority, trying to get our roads fixed. And Mr. Stafford, the district engineer, he makes sure everybody knows that. So he's done a good job of making sure that we're taken care of here.
Yes, sir. Agreed.
And list is getting shorter. That's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely a good thing. It was a mess.
It was. All right.
Nick, you want to go to the next item?
Well, you're the next item, number 7, Alexander County 24-hour race at ACHS track, Gary Herman.
Okay. This is a very unique opportunity, gentlemen. We have the USA Track and Field 24-hour qualifier event on May 1st and 2nd. Yes, you heard me right. That's a 24-hour race, and it's going to be at the Alexander Central High School track. So due to COVID, the qualification window was extended for USATF until May 2nd. So Brandon Wilson of Wilson Timing Company, he has done some of our races at Rocky Face. So he asked if Alexander County would be interested in hosting the final qualifying event for the USA Track and Field 24-hour national team. So after speaking with County Manager French and staff, Mr. Wilson went through the proper channels and set up the race. So we're having a national race here in Alexander County. The race will begin at 8 a.m. on Saturday, May 1st, and I've got someone lined up to do the national anthem at 7:30 that morning. So we're going to kick things off right. And the race will end at 8 a.m. on Sunday, May 2nd at the track, like I said. Mr. Wilson and Brad Smythe of Clockwork Race Timing traveled to Alexander County on March 6th to verify the track distance. I think it was somewhere like 400.68 meters was what they averaged their distance to be. So it was right on. So they submitted the verified distance information to USATF and the International Association of Athletics Federations, and the track was subsequently certified. As of April 12th, there were 45 runners registered for the 24-hour race. The following states are represented: North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky, Maryland, Florida, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, Arizona, Colorado, Oregon, and California. And I think the one from California was a 78-year-old woman, 86-year-old woman, excuse me. So the field of competition is limited to 50 people, 38 slots open for general entry, and 12 slots reserved for athletes wanting to and capable of qualifying for the USATF national team. Reserve slots are offered to female athletes who have run 115 miles or longer at a fixed time race within the last 18 months, and male athletes who have run 130 miles or longer. So we're going to have some big-time athletes who are going to set some records here in Alexander County. Staff and volunteers, we will ensure that COVID safety protocols are in place, and we will also run an aid station for the runners. I'd just like to say this is a very exciting event for Alexander County. I'm looking forward to staying up 24 hours so we can hold this thing. I think Mr. French said we might get to sleep 30 minutes or so. But anyway, we are looking forward to these ultra runners coming here. And we're expecting some national and even maybe some world records to be set here in Alexander County. And I also wanted to say thank you to Alexander County Schools. They let us use the track for this event. And if you'd like to learn more about it, you can go to alexandercounty24hour.com.
How do you win?
It's the
Most laps?
most laps. Yep.
So how many horsepower can your, like, car be?
It's foot power. It's Fred Flintstone.
I know.
Yeah, I'm out.
Well, you'll stay awake if you're running, Gary, you know?
I don't run anymore. But it's going to be a very unique race, and
It will be different for Alexander County.
I'm telling you,
Yes.
just hearing the different states that people were coming from, because this is their last chance qualifier, you know.
I guess we'll get some coyotes to chase them to keep them going. You know?
Yeah, something would have to be chasing me for 24 hours.
No
if They want me
kidding.
to run that long.
Yeah.
That is my 24-hour race update.
Thank you for your 24-hour race update and for the road report. Thank you, sir.
And I'm also doing the next one.
Absolutely. Item number 8, Alexander County Broadband Expansion Project Update.
And
Gary Herman.
as you can see, I'm not David Moose. I'm filling in for him this evening. I was going to be here anyway, and something came up, and he couldn't be here. So I've sat in on all the meetings. So I told him I can handle it. We can work on it together. So let's look at the timeline here for Phase 1. This is a 2-phase project. Phase 2 is somewhat up in the air right now. We're trying to work out where those towers will be located. But the Phase 2 will be more of the eastern, northeastern, southeastern parts of the county. And we'll get to that here in just a little bit. So, of course, you guys approved the agreement with Open Broadband LLC. So this is a public-private partnership. Project cost will be split 50-50, and $188,000 is estimated for Phase 1, and $200,000 is estimated for Phase 2, for a total of $388,000. So the county's portion would be approximately $194,000. Of course, this is to bring broadband to more of the unserved and underserved areas of Alexander County. Contract's been signed by both parties, and the first progress meeting was held April 9th. Phase 1 work is already underway, and Phase 2 development is ongoing. The project is progressing on schedule. And Phase 2 will actually is scheduled to begin in October concurrently with Phase 1, so there'll be like overlap there. Staff is scheduled to have a Zoom meeting with Open Broadband this Friday to hear and discuss their recommendations on Phase 2 of the project. Open Broadband is finalizing the tower agreement for the Ellendale Tower site. That's on Willie McLeod Road. They expect to begin equipment installations within the next month or so. Open Broadband will be installing new equipment on Lenny's Mountain Tower and other locations as part of this project, which uses the latest technology, offering faster speeds and better coverage, especially through tree canopies. This should help alleviate speed and connectivity issues in the Little River area also, and allow for more customers overall. One thing we did want to note was that testers and installers are already in the area. For people who are on the wait list. So if you see someone pull up in your driveway, if they've got a door magnet with Open Broadband on it, it's legit. It's from the county. So they're trying to determine if you have an adequate signal at your home, and they'll leave a door hanger to let you know. The Ellendale Tower slide that you see right here, it's a vertical bridge tower at 531 Willie McLeod Road. They estimate that we could serve 2,700 homes, but of course, a lot of those folks already have an alternative internet source, internet service provider. So they're estimating that they might get 600 customers out of this tower here. And likely serviceable of the underserved is 314, and of those 314, they think 200 of those will probably sign up for the service. So that's the part in purple up there. The part in green is from the EDC pilot program, and the part in light pink is FCC underserved. Okay, let's go to the Moore Mountain Tower. Of course, this is way up in the part of this county near the Wilkes County line. This one's not going to serve as many people, but it's going to serve a lot of people who need internet badly and have no other way to get it. So they estimate likely serviceable about 70, and they think of those 70, 50 of those people are going to sign up. Underserved, 84 people, and likely serviceable, 19 people. So they expect to get 14 underserved there. So there really wasn't much other option for northern Alexander County except for the Moore Mountain Tower. And that's all I have this evening. I would like to encourage citizens and businesses who are interested to join Open Broadband's wait list at openbb.net/AlexanderCo. And that's where we are with the broadband wireless expansion project.
Keep moving.
We're moving.
That's good. It's one of the biggest complaints we get is about not being able to have broadband at your house.
Yeah.
And especially in the areas that we're trying to get broadband to.
Exactly. We have a lot of people moving into this county and broadband's not even a thought.
It's not a thought.
In their mind. They just assume it's here. So we're working together, public-private partnership to try to help our public.
Very good. Thank you, Gary.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Item number 9, Emergency Watershed Protection Program and State Matching Funds Request. Mr. French, County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we've been talking about the Emergency Watershed Protection Program, the County Soil and Water Office has worked diligently to receive state and federal grant funds totaling $79,500. There is a $19,875 match, and the state is also going to provide those funds. As part of the project, we'll need some technical assistance. We've asked the COG, Western Piedmont Council of Governments, to provide that. They will give us a proposal, and we'll have that proposal for you to consider at the April 26th meeting. And what I wanted to do tonight is just explain, there's a budget amendment later, so this explains the details of that. But what this is for is debris removal from those streams from the floods we had in November. Are there any questions?
It's a lot cheaper than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it is.
Very good. Item number 10, non-project facility installation at Whittenburg Access Area. Mr. French.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chad, can you look on the screen? This project has been discussed with Duke Energy for some time. And you gentlemen, most of you are aware of it. The county has a lease with Duke Energy. The county's portion of this project, thank you. The county's portion of this project is the trails, and I'll show you that slide in just a second, and a parking area to the north on the property. Duke Energy will redo the parking lot, provide new parking, provide a proposed swim beach, which will be able to house 250 persons. Bathrooms, if you'll see those on the east side, and we'll also provide more picnic areas. Chad, will you go to the next slide? This is the trail, the new trail, the Heron Trail that we've proposed and have taken bids on, and we'll bring those recommendations to you at our April 26th meeting. This gives you a pretty good detailed view of the project area. Does anybody have any questions? Just wanted to give you a quick update.
Mr. Prince, the trail itself, I mean, will it just be kind of cleaned out?
It'll be like the trails at Rocky Face Park. It'll be similar to that. There'll actually be 2 bridges over some wet areas.
Right.
It'll be about a mile long. This is going to be a unique project. That project will be, I mean, that park will be really busy during the summer once the swim beach is open and all the other activities are going on. So, and as we've talked in the past, we will, of course, we'll have county staff there. We'll have to have staff with the swim beach, of course, and we'll also have to have at least, plan is to have one staff person there during our normal business hours to assist with picking up trash and answering questions and helping the public and that kind of thing. So,
You know, Mr. French, seeing the layout of this trail that's there, even though it's a mile long, or is it gonna have intervals where there'll be, that you have access to dial 911 if you need to? Or will it be any lighting at all along that path?
no, sir, it won't be open at night. I'll say it won't have lighting, so it'll be difficult. I won't say you can't do it at night.
It looks good. It's something we've been talking about for a while, and I'm glad to see that the wheels are rolling on this thing, so.
It's a good thing.
It is.
And Duke Energy's participation is much appreciated.
Yeah, it really is. It's funny how and we have been talking, Ronnie, you know, Commissioner Reese is right. We've been talking about this for some time. But this park and Courthouse Park and all these things are sort of coming together. So this time next year, we'll have our parks opened, and those would be good steps for us to provide more activities. And with the stage at Courthouse Park, entertainment for citizens.
Yeah, good, thanks. Thank you.
See, you ready for item number 11?
Yes, sir.
Item number 11, county sales tax revenue for 2020 and 21 budget year.
Well, sales tax is, as we all know, is picked up. For 7 months, we have collected $3,677,000, which represents 74.67% of the budget. And we've only 58.3% of the year has expired. We were over 20% ahead of the same time last year. New sales tax is not running that strong, but still running a little bit ahead. It's 3.7, almost 4% more. It's $985,000 so far for 7 months of a 1.4 sales tax revenue for new sales tax. So those numbers are encouraging.
Encouraging.
We are experiencing a time of inflation,
We are.
you know, when it comes to most items that people buy. And so hopefully our numbers will be enough to cover the inflation that we, as a governing body, will experience due to, I know at least in my industry, you know, when a year and a half ago, a sheet of OSB at Sype Lumber was $8.90, and this week and today it's $37.
Right.
You know, that helps sales tax numbers.
Right.
Stops if you.
And I heard on the radio today, you know, grocery prices are up and expected to continue to go up, and I think we're all,
Hang on.
I'd be surprised if our sales tax numbers weren't up based on just increased cost of living. So that's-
Item number 12, board appointments and reappointments. Mr. French, County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Reappoint to the Council on Aging Committee, Angela Johnson, Jeanette Johnson, Sally Goodnight for 3-year terms. And Library Board of Trustees, appoint John Gerald for 3 years. Elizabeth Walsh's name is on here, but she's no longer going to serve. So we're going to have to find another library board member. So, but those are the appointments that are recommended for tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. I entertain the motion to,
Can I
excuse me.
address that just a second?
Sure,
Because
yes, sir.
I'm on that library board. Quite a challenge finding people who want to serve on the library board. So, you know, we've combed and canvassed quite a bit and have been told no quite a bit. So if you know of any good candidates out there who would be logical folks to serve on the library board, we would certainly be interested in entertaining the thought and being able to talk to them.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we approve the county committee and board appointments with the removal of Elizabeth Walsh.
Motion's made, is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion's made, any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, motion carries. Item number 13, budget ordinance amendments 63 through 71.
Budget amendment number 63 is the budget for the March 2021 contract to expand broadband service in the county. That's something that Mr. Herman just reported to you about. Number 64 is to budget for the purchase of a tract of land on Martin Luther King Drive. That's budget amendment number 64. Number 65 is to increase the information technology budget for April through June. Estimated costs for software increases to deploy two-form authentication on a VPN and webmail traffic to meet the requirements of the cyber liability insurance underwriter. Number 66 is to decrease the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council administrative budget based on the estimated fiscal year 2021 expenses per third quarter accounting reports submitted to the state at the end of March. 67 is the budget amendment we spoke about earlier, to budget for stream debris removal at 3 locations per the Emergency Watershed Protection Project for Hurricanes Zeta and Ada event. The project will include federal grant funds from the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service for 75% of the debris removal cost, which is $59,625, and 100% of the technical and administrative costs, which is $11,925. The 25% local match for the debris removal cost, $19,875, will be provided by the state, by state grant funds from the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. 68 is to increase the health department budget for additional federal funding, grant funds for CDC COVID-19 vaccination program. 69, to increase the SS budget for additional crisis intervention grant funds from the Low Income Energy Assistance Program. Number 70 is to adjust the Bethlehem Sewer Fund budget based on the data from year-to-date revenue reports from the City of Hickory. And 71 is to adjust the School Capital Improvements Fund for a revised estimate of school capital expenditures for the budget year 2021. Any questions?
If there are no questions, I'd entertain a motion to approve budget items 63 through 71.
Make a motion, we approve budget ordinance amendments 63 through 71 as stated, sir.
Motion's made, is there a second? Second. Motion's made, second. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries. Mr. French, item 14, other business.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple things just to mention. The county has received 2 Golden Leaf grants. One was for equipment and software to support expanded training at Alexander Applied Technology Center for future industrial systems and mechatronics technicians for local high school demand jobs. The other one is to extend wastewater infrastructure at the Alexander Industrial Park, 10 new jobs, and $1.2 million of private investment at industrial timber. And an amount of $1.5 million from ARC has also been awarded to NCDOT for construction of a connecting road within the park. The Bethlehem Water Tank Project was not funded. We're trying another method to fund it. So also, something we wanted to mention is that April 26th meeting, which will be our next meeting, we would ask for you to meet at the Alexander County Administration Building instead of meeting here.
That'll be a work session, is that not correct?
Well, it'll be a regular meeting. We have some business we want to do too. That's all I have unless there's any questions.
Anybody have any questions? All right. The consent agenda. I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve consent agenda as stated.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries. And we need to have a short closed session under North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11, paragraph A, subsection 4, 5, and 6, economic development, contractual, and personnel. We will adjourn for the closed session, and we will re-adjourn for adjournment only, and no action will be taken. Make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
And second, any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.